Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really zooming in on Canadian immigration policy, specifically the express entry system.
Right.
We've got some interesting sources looking at, well, two very specific, very specialized draws that happened almost back to back.
Yeah, very close together.
And also kind of the bigger picture, right? How external stuff is keeping Canada, at the top of the list for skilled talent.
It's a really dynamic situation right now.
So our mission here isn't just like reading out numbers. 1,000 invites Tuesday, 4,500 Wednesday. We need to get behind that.
Understand the why.
Exactly. What are the strategic signals here? Why the big swing in numbers? And, maybe most interestingly, how is Canada, well, maybe playing off the issues other countries are having?
Capitalizing on the friction elsewhere, yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, the first thing to get is that the big general all-program draws we used to see a lot, they seem to be mostly on hold for now.
Right. That's a big shift.
It is. What we saw recently were two very distinct category-based draws, one right after the other. And that screams policy preference. It's not random, it's targeted.
Okay, so let's look at the raw numbers because they really set the stage. We had draw 370, small, just 1,000 candidates invited.
Very focused.
And then boom, just days later, draw 371.
Yeah.
Way bigger. 4,500 candidates invited.
That difference alone is fascinating, isn't it? 1,000 versus 4,500 in, what, maybe 48 hours?
Yeah.
It tells you there's a very specific priority and maybe a different level of urgency attached to each of those groups.
Okay, so let's break down the first one. Draw 370, the smaller one.
Right.
Sources say this was exclusively for Canadian experienced class candidates.
Yeah.
CEC.
Yeah.
1,000 invites, like we said. But the minimum score, the CRS score, 534. That sounds pretty high.
It is high. And focusing on CEC makes a lot of sense strategically. These are people already living in Canada, already working.
Integrated, basically.
Exactly. They've got Canadian work experience, maybe Canadian education, they're paying taxes. The integration risk is, well, minimal. So when you prioritize CEC, you're prioritizing retention.
Keeping the talent you already have.
Precisely. You've already seen they can succeed here. Much lower risk than bringing someone in totally fresh.
Okay, but back to that score, 534. I mean, we often see general draws when they happen, maybe in the high 400s, low 500s.
Sometimes, yeah. It fluctuates.
So 534, for people already proven successful in Canada, that seems extremely competitive.
Yeah.
Why set the bar that high for them?
Well, it signals a couple of things. One, there's probably intense competition even within that CEC pool, lots of qualified people.
Okay.
And two, it means they're really selecting the absolute top performers from that group. Think PhD level education, years of high-skilled Canadian work, top language scores.
So even for the easier group to integrate, they're still demanding really high qualifications.
They're not compromising on that sort of human capital potential, even when focusing on retention. Maximum economic value, right away.
Makes sense for long-term planning. Okay, so now let's pivot, because Draw 371 feels like a completely different strategy.
Oh, absolutely. Night and day in some ways.
This one targeted French-speaking candidates exclusively.
Correct.
And the volume jumped way up, 4,500 invitations. And the minimum CRS score dropped way down to 432.
And that comparison right there is maybe the key takeaway.
534 for CEC versus 432 for French speakers.
What's the difference there? 102 points.
Wow.
That 1 over 2 point gap basically quantifies the value the system is placing on French language ability. It's huge.
Can you put 102 CRS points into perspective? Like, what else would someone need to do to get that kind of boost?
Oh, quite a bit. You typically need maybe several more years of skilled work experience, or maybe another degree like a master's on top of a bachelor's, sometimes both.
So having strong French skills is basically like having another advanced degree and years more experience in terms of points.
In terms of how the system prioritizes you for this specific draw, yes. It's an enormous advantage, almost like a fast track.
It's pretty stunning when you see it laid out like that. Clearly a massive push for linguistic diversity. But does dropping the score that much, over 100 points, does that risk anything? Like maybe bringing in people who meet the language need but might struggle economically outside specific French-speaking areas.
That's the perennial balancing act, isn't it? And if we connect this to the bigger picture, It's not just about immediate job matching.
Okay.
This ties directly into national commitments. Supporting Francophone communities across Canada, especially outside Quebec, it's baked into legislation, into demographic goals.
So it's fulfilling a different kind of requirement.
Exactly. These candidates are seen as high priority for fulfilling that specific national mandate, almost regardless of their other CRS points. You're trading some standard economic indicators for a critical cultural and governmental need.
That makes sense. It's a strategic trade-off. And that actually leads us nicely into the broader context from the sources, this idea that Canada tops the list as a destination.
Right, because these specialized draws, they're not happening in a vacuum. They're part of why Canada maintains that reputation.
How so?
Well, it shows a sophisticated approach, doesn't it? It's not just opening the doors wide, it's targeted selection, whether it's retaining proven talent via CEC or meeting linguistic goals with French speakers. It projects a sense of control, of strategy.
Predictability, maybe?
Predictability, stability, in a world where, let's be honest, immigration policy in some other major countries can seem chaotic or increasingly restrictive.
Yeah, it's a really important point. It's not just Canada's internal policies, but how they compare globally.
Absolutely. If your main competitors are putting up more hurdles, Canada looks relatively more attractive just by maintaining a clear, even if selective, path.
And that brings us to a really specific example mentioned in the sources, the U.S. visa fee hike.
Ah, yes. That's a fascinating piece of this.
The sources seem to directly link rising U.S. visa costs to Canada attracting more talent, especially tech talent.
They do. It's a clear case of, one country's policy friction becoming another country's opportunity. The U.S. recently increased fees pretty significantly for key work visas.
Like H-1B.
H-1B, L-1 visas. The kinds heavily used by the tech sector to bring in skilled foreign workers. When those costs go up for employers.
It makes sponsoring someone more expensive, more of a hassle.
Exactly. Especially for startups or smaller companies, that extra cost and administrative burden can be a real deterrent. It adds financial risk.
Okay, so the U.S. makes it harder, or at least more expensive.
And Canada, meanwhile, has programs like the Global Talent Stream, actively promoting things like two-week processing for certain high-demand tech roles.
Right, so it's the contrast.
It's the contrast. U.S. policy adds cost and friction. Canada offers speed and relative ease, at least for the specific talent it targets. So skilled workers, especially mobile tech workers, they see that.
They'll go where it's easier, faster, cheaper to get their career moving.
It's often the path of least resistance, yeah.
So here's where it gets really interesting. It suggests Canada isn't just relying on its own good planning. It's actively benefiting from, well, the difficulties its main competitor is creating for itself.
You could call it smart policy arbitrage, leveraging comparative advantage. The U.S., whether they intended to or not, made it harder for companies to hire international tech talent.
And Canada was positioned to just catch the overflow.
Offer a more attractive alternative, yeah.
Yeah.
It gives Canada a very real, measurable edge in that global fight for top tech minds.
Okay, so bringing this all together, so what does this all mean for you if you're tracking these trends?
Well, a few key things.
First, Canada's express entry isn't a monolith anymore. It's highly specialized. Category-based draws seem to be the main game now.
Definitely. Targeting specific needs.
Like internal integration, shown by the CEC draw, even with its high bar, and national goals, like French language, shown by that massive draw with the lower score requirement.
Precision targeting.
And second, Canada's success isn't just internal. It's amplified by what's happening elsewhere, like the U.S. visa situation creating, an unexpected boost for Canada, especially in tech.
External factors can really shift the landscape.
So the path to success through express entry often means fitting into one of these very specific prioritized categories.
Yeah.
And keeping an eye on global politics, because that can suddenly open doors.
Absolutely. Which leads to maybe a final thought for you to consider. We saw French language skills create a massive CRS advantage, over 100 points difference in those back-to-back draws.
Yeah, incredible.
So the question becomes, what's next? What other specialized skills or maybe professions or even commitments to specific regions in Canada might become the next high priority category?
Where will the next big points advantage appear?
Exactly. Keep a close eye on how these category-based selections evolve. They're like signals telling you exactly what kind of talent Canada is looking for most urgently and where the next big opportunity might lie. That's what you really need to track.